Welcome back, Whistle Watchers. After a short break, a very short one, we're back and we will be discussing the big talking points from the weekend. So let's get straight into it. Right, let's start with the Calcutta Cup. A few talking points in this game, but the one that's really got you talking, probably a day or so after the game actually, the Finn Russell missed conversion. Now, what we did notice is that afterwards we saw the referee moving Finn Russell 3 or 4 metres towards the touchline where the conversion should have been a little bit closer, should have been pretty much on the 5 metre line. Now, would that have made a difference? Oh, well, who knows? But the conversion should have been taken close to the 5 metre line, so shouldn't have been moved. Maro Itoje, turnover, was it legal or not? This has been a big discussion for many of you. Now, let's remember one thing, okay? The speed of the game, all things happen so quickly. So, was Itoje on his feet? Was he supporting his own body weight? Remember, the referee has to make a decision in a split second. Now, he reaches over, gets on the ball. As long as he's supporting his own body weight, it means he's not using the ground of the ball to actually be held up, or players beneath him on the ground, then that turnover would be legal. But it looks like that stretch could be a little bit too much, which means he was not supporting his body weight. So, should Itoje have been penalised? Yes, he should have. But just remember, for the referee, he makes a split decision there and then. So we can also understand why the referee played on. But after looking at it again, and on numerous occasions, remember, it should have been a penalty. Head contact, Kyle Rowe on Ollie Chisholm. Now, good TMO intervention. Yeah? This is what you want the TMO to come in when the referee hasn't seen, or the match officials on the field haven't seen something. So good intervention from the TMO. Player was upright making the contact, but what the officials feel that it was a low degree of danger because it's more of a passive, so it's more of absorbing rather than not going in to the player. So a low degree of danger. So on this occasion, the referee gave the right decision of just a penalty. Let's head to Cardiff then. Great game of rugby. Now, what about the Garry Ringrose red card? Well, there hasn't really been much discussion about this because a lot of you can follow the protocol and understand why this red card is given. Again, we go back to making the game as safe as we possibly can. What's been the discussion probably for many of you is, should it have been a straight red, which means he's off for the rest of the game, 20-minute doesn't apply, or was it correct to go to the bunker, upgrade it to red, which means you can replace him after 20 minutes. Well, do we have foul play? Yes, we do. Ringrose comes in at speed from a distance and then makes head contact with Ben Thomas. Now, only thing here that will mitigate that from being a red, because it is a high degree of danger, is did Ben Thomas do anything in that last split second, which means that Ringrose was unable to adjust his control of the actions he was doing. There is probably a little slight movement by Ben Thomas, not enough of a sidestep or a considerable dip in height in that split second before contact, so mitigation does not apply. The view on this was correctly so. It is a red card, and the reason why it was not a straight red, because it's not deemed to be deliberate and dangerous. It is dangerous, high degree of danger, but the action was deemed to be more of a rugby collision accidental one rather than a dangerous, reckless, deliberate act. Ellis Mee, a try that could have put Wales in lead, conversion to come? Well, who knows, but was the try correctly chalked off? And yes, it was. The interesting part here is what happened next, really, because we see Ellis Mee ground the ball. Now, on the foot edge, it does definitely show that he is just short. Then the ball tends to go forward before it touches the try line. So we have a grounding, but before it touches the try line, we have him losing control, which means it's a knock on. The interesting point is here, just as he touches that ground, pretty much simultaneously, maybe the thinnest of a split second between them, his elbow's in touch. So the only decision that could have been different here is that it probably should have been a line out, because it was simultaneously in touch rather than a knock-on. But certainly, no arguments, it wasn't a try. Now, before we get into the action of France-Italy, you should also know that this fixture will be repeated in the Women's Rugby World Cup. And until Friday, you can buy tickets to that match and many other incredible contests that are going to be in this wonderful World Cup as well, all across England throughout the summer. Head to tickets.rugbyworldcup.com rugbyworld.com to grab your tickets now, and I may see you there. Right then, let's head over to Rome for Italy-France. Great tries by Italy and great tries by France as well. And France really were on song, weren't they? Now then, let's have a look at the Leo Bar disallowed try. I think people are complicating this, and may well be referees themselves are complicating it. All you need to think is about keep it simple. Was the pass passed forward? I want you to forget the way the hands are moving, the player running at speed. It's all quite a simple one. Doesn't matter where the ball lands up, all you need to determine is, was the pass passed forward? If it's passed forward, forget the way the hands are, because the hands could be facing backwards, but you can still throw the ball forward. Keep it simple. You cannot throw a ball or pass a ball forward. That's all you need to decide on. So, Libar disallowed try, yes, it is a forward pass. He's thrown it forward. So, if it's a 50-50, it's a tight call, you're not quite sure if it's forward or not, then the philosophy would be that if it's not clear and obvious, then you don't blow that whistle and you play on. So remember, the pass has to be passed forward. If it's doubt, if it's flat, is it 50-50? Play on. Right then, let's get into it. Can I visit the farm? Are you doing tours? Do you know what? We may well be doing tours in the future because we've got a holiday let which will be ready for the summer, and that will be part of having a tour on the farm as well. So keep an eye out. I'll let you know when it all happens. Why is the responsibility given to ball carrier to also not make head contact? We generally want to make rugby safer. We cannot ignore the other 50% of the problem. That is a good point, but the onus is on the tackler. If you feel the ball carrier goes down and leads with a head into a tackler who is trying to do everything to avoid that, then it would be foul play by the ball carrier. And if that was a high degree of danger, that may well lead to a red card as well. Now, you may well think you have seen this happening, and I'm not going to disagree with you, but on the most, I would be very surprised if a ball carrier leads with a head looking to make head contact, because it would not be safe for them and anybody else. But your point is valid. We have to make the game safe, and if it is the ball carrier that's at fault, then the ball carrier is the one who should be penalised, not the tackler, as long as the tackler is doing everything he can to get low, to make it legal, and to avoid contact with the head. So a good point. But remember, the onus is on the both players, as well, as you quite rightly said. There is something I don't get. How do you know that the throw is uncontested until after it has been thrown? Surely the thrower has to assume that all his throws will be contested and therefore should be throwing straight in at all times. I tend to agree. I'm not a big fan of this, although I have to say it really hasn't brought anything too negative. But I agree with you, the throw-in should be straight. Now, it all comes down to this. If the throw is not straight, so you could take the gamble. You may take the gamble, well, I don't think they're going to contest, so I'm going to throw it towards my side a bit. And if they don't contest, you will get away with it. If you throw it to the front, to your first man, or over the 15, whether they contest or not, it has to be straight. So my advice to you is throw it in straight, and if for some reason you just get it wrong and they don't compete, then you're lucky. But it's a gamble, and maybe some players do gamble on that tactics by watching the opposition of when they compete or not. But the clear thing is here, if the opposition compete, then the throw-in has to be down the middle. Nigel, who would be your pick for the Lions tour? Oh, that's a good question. This leads us into the final part of the show. Who are they nailed on? Well, are they nailed on? We'll have to wait and see, but I think some of these could well be. Let's start with Ireland then. Well, you could probably take most of the Irish team, and may well be that most of them will go, but certainly, what about Dan Sheehan on the weekend? Return from injury, captain Ireland to that win in Cardiff as well. He does look impressive. I'm pretty sure he will be one or the first on the team sheet. Scotland, now there are a few names sticking the hand up for Scotland here. What about Hugh Jones in centre? He has been impressive, hasn't he? And what about Rory Darge as well? He's been in the middle of everything in that breakdown area. And I would say as well, full back, Blair Kinghorn, Yeah, he may well be on that plane as well. So a few names of Scotland to keep an eye on how they go in these next 2 rounds of the Six Nations. What about England? Now then, they've been hot and cold, haven't they? Beat France, pipped Scotland on the weekend. That could have well gone the other way. But how about Tom Curry? How impressive has he been? What a player. 5 turnovers, the most in the tournament so far. So I'm pretty sure that he's got 1 foot on that plane. Now then, what about Wales? Some of you are talking about nobody from Wales going. I can't believe you're saying that. But I'm pretty sure, I'm pretty confident that there certainly will be 1 Welshman, if maybe not 1 or 2 more if they carry on playing like they did on the weekend. But what about Jack Morgan? He has been captain fantastic, hasn't he? Led Wales from 2 very difficult games at the early part of the Six Nations and then nearly beating the favourites on the weekend. He has been hugely impressive as a player and as a captain as well. So he may have 2 feet on the steps to the plane, and I wouldn't bet against him starting as well. That's how good I think he is. But who knows? I'm not the one picking the team. And that's it for this week. Unfortunately, we have another break now, but we'll be back in a fortnight's time to answer your Emirates fans questions and discuss the big talking points on Whistle Watch. Till then, bye-bye.